bronze medalist at the World Championships, goes in heat 4 for England. There's the lineup: Gelenheis of Namibia, Timbaki of Vanuatu, Anthony Cox of Jamaica, Solomon of Australia, Steve Solomon, watch him, Kumar of Sri Lanka, Desroy Jordan of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and Lara of Trinidad and Tobago on the outside. So with only 3 non-automatic qualifier spots, that's make the first 3 or you're not going to make it through to the semis, is really the message. There is Lara, 46.92 man this year. He'll be running blind. His personal best was last year, 46.4. In lane 7 for St. Vincent and the Grenadines. He's actually the national 800 metres champion this year. Desroy Jordan, the 21-year-old, best of 47.76 this year. In 6, Kolinga Kumar of Sri Lanka, 3 times their champion and the reigning champion. Set his personal best actually, but back on the 23rd of April. He hasn't raced since the middle of June. In 5, the very experienced Australian Steve Solomon, 8th in the Olympic Games in London 2012. Remember that, 10 years ago now. A semi-finalist in Tokyo last year, and he holds the Australian record for 400 indoors at 45.4. Good athlete. There's Anthony Cox of Jamaica. Had COVID in Eugene, but was able to compete in the heats of the 4x400 for his nation. Came 3rd in the Jamaican Championships earlier on this summer. There's Obedia Timbaki of Vanuatu. Went out in his heat for the World Championships, the 19-year-old, best of 52.85 this year, and that is his lifetime best. And then in 2 is Dani Gelenheis of Namibia, 21 in a few days' time. The South African semi-finalist in the African Championships in Mauritius back in early June, but he hasn't raced either since early June, the 20-year-old Gelenheis. 46.4 his best this year. Remember, the first 3 go through by right, so he'll be right on the cusp of it. Will even Dani Gelenheis.
On your marks.
Reigning champion is Makwala. He's up Makwala of Botswana. Indeed, his teammate Babaloki Thebe took out the silver on the Gold Coast back in 2018. So the first heat of 7 then, in the men's 400 metres. Gelenheis in 2, Timbaki of Vanuatu in 3, Cox of Jamaica 4, Solomon of Australia in 5, the Sri Lankan Kumar in 6, Jordan of St. Vincent and the Grenadines in 7, and Lara, Trinidad and Tobago in lane 8.
Set.
Well, qualifying from this should be a formality for an athlete of the calibre of Steve Solomon of Australia, but he'll want a solid run. He's in 5 there, right in the centre, in the yellow with the greenish shorts, 4th from left at the moment, moving well down the back straight. And actually quickest away is Kumar of Sri Lanka, really quick through the first 200 in that blue strip. He's a 45.8 performer this year, but he leads at the moment by quite some margin. Solomon going okay right in the centre. Inside him, the Jamaican vest of Anthony Cox is moving well around the second bend as they come into the straight. Kumar has given 101% through the first 300. Now he's chased down by the big figure of Cox, the Jamaican, who looks very strong for the last 50. Solomon follows him through, and he's under real pressure here for 3rd place, and I think he just loses out there to Gelenheis of Namibia, who gets 3rd spot. It is the first 3, remember, who go through by right. And I think, despite giving everything for the first 380, it was nearly enough. Kumar of Sri Lanka might just have got run out of it. It was very tight at the line. No doubting the strong finish and fine form of Anthony Cox. Maybe a little bit frustrated after not being able to give his all in Eugene a couple of weeks back because of COVID. But he wins in 45.51. That is only a couple of clicks outside his lifetime best from earlier on this season. And Steve Solomon, 45.98, a solid 2nd for Australia. And it was even Dani Gelenheis of Namibia who took 3rd place, 46.51. Kumar will have to wait and see, but 46.53, I'm not sure it'll be quick enough. Desroy Jordan of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, a personal best for him. Significant leap forward, 47.29.
Oh, I was absolutely willing the Sri Lankan 3rd from the left here as we look at it to get himself home in the top 3. It was a really bold piece of running because he knew the likes of Cox of Jamaica and Solomon, who seems to have been around for a lifetime, made the Olympic final must have been a teenager then, back in 2012. The Sri Lanka knew that they would be coming and closing, and that he'd start wading through treacle towards the back end of the race. Gelenheis did really well to come through in lane 2. Good running by Cox, just off the podium in the World Youth a few years ago. So unlucky to get COVID in Eugene and not be able to perform at his best. It's a good run by Solomon there, and Gelenheis out dipping Kumar. So the Sri Lankan will have to wait to see whether he can claim one of the 3 non-automatic spots. But remember, that's 3 non-automatic spots from 7 heats. Good running by Cox, 3rd in the Jamaican national champs. Just to make it as any level of international in a Jamaican sprint event shows you the calibre of the man we've just been watching, just off the podium in the World Youth, and he'll be absolutely determined to remind everybody what he could have produced in Eugene had COVID not brought his aspirations at the Worlds to a premature end.
Well, there it is. You can see the fine form of Anthony Cox. Bottom of picture. Working hard with the arms there. And that is very nearly a lifetime best. And I think there's considerably more to come from the 21-year-old. Solomon of Australia in the dark glasses. Moving well, and you can see the effort from even Dani Gelenheis. Here he is with about 40 to go. He's way back in 4th, but he keeps battling away. Kumar by far the smallest of the 4-inch shot, just tying up the stride length going, the knees not coming up over the final meters, and he just gets out dipped by the Namibian, giving himself an early 21st birthday present in effect. There it is. Anthony Cox wins for Jamaica, 45.51, a lovely big capital Q beside his name. Steve Solomon likewise for Australia in 2nd place, and Gelenheis of Namibia taking that precious 3rd spot by 4/100ths of a second. Sorry, 2.
The men's 400 meters at the 2022 Commonwealth Games in Birmingham produced one of the most gripping heats of the competition, featuring a blend of established names and rising talents. All eyes were on Jamaica's Anthony Cox, a sprinter with much to prove after his frustrating experience at the World Championships in Eugene, where COVID prevented him from performing at his peak. This was his chance for redemption, and he delivered in spectacular fashion. The lineup was diverse and competitive. Namibia's Dani Gelenheis, Vanuatu's Obedia Timbaki, Jamaica's Cox, Australia's Steve Solomon, Sri Lanka's Kolinga Kumar, St. Vincent and the Grenadines Desroy Jordan, and Trinidad and Tobago's Jereem Lara all took to the track. With only the top 3 finishers advancing automatically to the semifinals, every stride mattered. From the start, it was Kumar of Sri Lanka who caught everyone's attention. Exploding out of the blocks, he pushed hard through the first 200 meters, building a visible lead and forcing the rest of the field to chase. His bold strategy, however, carried risk. Maintaining such a furious pace over the final stretch is no easy task in the grueling one-lap race. By the 300-meter mark, the more experienced athletes began closing in. Anthony Cox, moving smoothly and with controlled power, surged down the final straight, his long strides eating up the ground. Right beside him, Steve Solomon of Australia, an Olympic finalist back in 2012 and one of the most consistent 400m runners from Oceania, also showed his class. Kumar, meanwhile, began to tie up, his legs heavy from that early burst of energy. In the final 50 meters, Cox made his decisive move. With superb form and a fierce finish, he crossed the line first in 45.51 seconds, just shy of his personal best. For him, this was more than a qualification run. It was a statement that he belongs among the very best on the international stage. Solomon followed closely in 45.98 seconds, showing he still has the ability to compete at top level more than a decade after his Olympic debut. The battle for third was razor thin, but Gelenheis of Namibia edged ahead in 46.51 seconds, just 200ths faster than the fading Kumar, who had given everything. Beyond the podium finishers, there were notable personal achievements as well. Desroy Jordan of St. Vincent and the Grenadines clocked a lifetime best of 47.29, a significant step forward for the 21-year-old national 800m champion, now making his mark in the 400m. For smaller nations, these breakthroughs matter just as much as medals. They reflect the steady growth of athletics beyond the traditional powerhouses. Still, the star of the race was Anthony Cox. His victory not only highlighted his resilience after setbacks, but also reinforced Jamaica's remarkable tradition in sprinting. While the Caribbean nation is world famous for producing legendary 100m and 200m sprinters, races like this demonstrate Jamaica's strength extends across the sprint spectrum, including the demanding 400m. Cox, still only 21, now carries the potential to lead Jamaica's charge in this event on the global stage. As the Commonwealth Games continued, this heat set the tone for what fans could expect: intensity, unpredictability, and stories of both glory and heartbreak. For Cox, Solomon, and Gelenheis, the mission was accomplished: safe passage to the semifinals. For Kumar, it was a case of courage nearly rewarded. And for athletics fans, it was a reminder of why the 400 meters is one of the most thrilling spectacles on the track.